All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Maddie here, and today we're going to be talking about Snorlax, Darkrai, Arceus, the daycare deck. We're going to be doing some more ranked battles. I think this deck is actually very uniquely well-positioned currently for ranked battles. This is a deck that we've talked about a couple times on the channel, but we've never actually done any gameplay, so I wanted to showcase it. This is just the version that I'm going to be playing. One copy of Snorlax, double Magby, double Pichu, one Mantike, double Tyrogue, double Darkrai, double Arceus. No Pokeball in the deck list. You might be wondering why we're not playing Pokeball. It actually is better just not to play Pokeball and to just play extra Pokemon, because to be fair, it's all about leading off into the correct Pokemon. So this deck is built specifically for kind of that mathematical, like analysis, right? Like the calculations work out where most of the time, almost half our deck are baby Pokemon. It's very likely that we lead with at least one baby Pokemon option, and then also have either Darkrai, Snorlax, or Arceus to, also set up to attack with. So that's the whole idea for the deck. No Pokeball. We are playing double Giovanni, one red, one PCL, one Giant Cape, one Repel, and double Professor's Research. So the Tyrogue, Darkrai, and Giovanni's are there to get around and and the Repel for the Oricorios. And then, of course, everything else here is just sort of turbo, Arceus, turbo Darkrai, turbo Snorlax. Snorlax is going to be good against Giratina Darkrai, but I actually don't really like it in most scenarios. It can be really annoying, but the high HP is actually really relevant in some specific matchups, Giratina Darkrai being one of them. 2 Research. I mean, it's a very simple deck list. The cool thing about this deck is that you know whether you're going to win or lose very early, so it's a really easy deck to just play a bunch of ranked games with, and luckily at some point you're just going to hit win streaks, and then you can climb. So that's the whole idea for the deck. Again, it doesn't really matter what, like combination of baby Pokemon that you play is. We're playing double Magby's, double Pichu, one Mantike. So that is 5 of the energy accelerating babies, 2 Tyrogue. And then again, the Tyrogues are just going to be for Oricori, but it can also be a valuable option going first to just deal a little bit of damage before we go into our other baby Pokemon to set up Arceus or Darkrai. So that's basically it. That's kind of the deck. You can play Kamala in place of things like Tyrogue, but I don't think it's as consistent. There's no guarantee that you're going to draw Kamala. So Tyrogue, I actually like a little bit better. Also, Kamala is not a good leadoff option. So I like the deck. It's actually really consistent. It's consistently done well in tournaments. Its win rate is always pretty high, but I think uniquely right now in the metagame, it's just well positioned against a lot of the stuff in the format. Now, there are some like double Oricorio, like double Greninja decks, which is kind of tough, like with Irida. That can be a bit, tricky to get around, but for the most part, I actually think that the deck list functions pretty well regardless. So let's just dive right into it. We're gonna play some ranked battles. We're at 1657 right now. I just haven't really been playing as much ranked recently because I've been busy, so we've fallen behind. I would like to get back into the top 1000. Let's just get right into it, guys. Let's play some games. Listen, we're probably gonna win some games. We might also lose some games in this video. We're gonna let it play out. I just want to illustrate the deck. Again, every deck is gonna lose games sometimes, so we're just gonna try not to misplay, and we're gonna try to showcase what the deck does. Now, the other upside to this deck is like the games, like the very few games where you lead off with either like Arceus, Snorlax, or Darkrai, and you don't have a baby Pokemon, like you can just concede the game, because you're probably going to lose, and that is pretty advantageous, right? So, okay, so here's the breakdown. Our deck is full of Pokemon, which is again totally fine, and it does look like we're playing probably either Guzzlord or Giratina and Darkrai. Now, because we're going second, we can just go full bench here, which I probably will do, but the other scenario, of course, is if we don't have an extra baby Pokemon, we probably don't want to bench anything else just in case our opponent has Repel, right? So we don't want to get Repel. That's just one thing to keep in mind, because not like getting Repel turn 1 going second can be basically you losing the game. But since we have 2 baby Pokemon, we can't get Repelled or Sabrina, so we can just kind of do this, bench all of our Pokemon here. I don't think the Tyrogue will be useful. It can be useful against Guzzlord, but we're playing Giratina Darkrai. So at this point, we're just going to hopefully draw through our deck and hopefully, just set up to KO. I mean, we can hit for 130 next turn with Arceus, which is pretty crazy, or on our second turn. And we don't have Giovanni or whatnot, but getting the damage off on the Darkrai typically is enough. And our deck list theoretically is good into Giratina Darkrai, which is definitely an upside. The Turbo Arceus stuff, Turbo Darkrai, is actually just really strong. It doesn't always happen like that. And also, like, you have to incorporate something in your deck to get around Oricorio, and the options are very limited. He actually misses out on Giratina this turn, which is really, really tough because he went first. So we're just going to double up onto Arceus. We're going to do our thing here. Next turn, we can hit for 130. Maybe we top deck a Giovanni or a red, and we can just KO. But even if we don't KO, then we have Darkrai for the following turn, and we'll just KO there. So, I mean, we're in a pretty safe spot. He will be getting the Nightmare Aura Ping. Oh, he's playing Silvally. That's really interesting. And he's just going to concede. Okay. So that's, I mean, okay. So again, this is the upside of playing this deck, right? Is that your opponents are going to concede quick or you're going to concede quick. There are some games that, of course, do go a long time, but you kind of want to avoid that when you're playing ranked battles, right? You just want to play a bunch of games. I'm not going to edit that out. I don't edit a lot of stuff out of these gameplay videos. I like to be real here. I like to give you the real ranked experience. But yeah, I do like this deck. In fact, like when I'm playing a bunch of ranked battles, like playing Giratina Darkrai, playing Suicune, playing any of the lightning decks, like none of them feel as consistent given all of the wide variety of counter meta decks on ranked battles. So when you're playing something like this deck or just regular Turbo Arceus Darkrai or maybe Flareon, it kind of has like a similar feel to it, which I actually do kind of like. It looks like you were playing a lightning type deck, which can be interesting. We're going first. So let's see here. He goes double zero aura, which I actually don't really mind because he is going second. So we do get 2 turns off here where we can actually just set up the Snorlax. And you know that's what we're going to do here. We could set up the Arceus, but Snorlax has more HP. And in the lightning matchup, I actually like it a little bit better. So anyway, we're just going to Toasty Toss twice to the Snorlax, and then we're just going to start hitting him. We're going to leave the bench space open for things like Darkrai and Tyrogue since we're playing a lightning type deck. And we're going to hold the Giovanni in case, of course, we are playing Oricorio. But we do have 1 Repel. So unless he goes double Oricorio, we should be able to kind of do our thing pretty easily. The lightning matchups can be interesting. I would say the worst sort of Oricorio / lightning matchup for us is going to be like the double Oricorio Greninja Suicune decks, just because they play Giant Cape, they play double Oricorio, they play Irida. Like it's just kind of a tough matchup. But this is going to be Silvally Zero Aura, which I don't really mind that much, right? So we're just going to KO whatever it is in the active. Now, we do have to be a little bit cognizant of is that, Zero Aura and Silvally actually combined can't KO Snorlax. Maybe with Rocky Helmet he can get it done, but I'm pretty confident that he won't be able to. So I'm just going to go ahead and Toasty Toss again here. Snorlax is cool because it heals 20 damage. I probably should have benched a baby Pokemon in case of like Repel, honestly. So that was probably a misplay. I'm not going to lie. But we'll see what he has either way. If he goes like Silvally, Repel, switch KO, then that's tough, right? Typically, type null decks don't really play Repel though, or Silvally decks just because it's not a supporter card. The Rocky Helmet does come out, so we have to be a little bit weary of this. We don't have PCL, and we also don't have, Giant Cape in our hand, right? So we can take KOs, but if he goes Silvally into Silvally here, we're going to be in a pretty tough spot. But we are healing 20 every turn, so the Rocky Helmets we got to be careful of, but we still go up to 160 after we KO, which is always good. What we can actually do here is Repel, but the Repel here doesn't actually matter. So I'm actually just going to pass on the Repel for now. Benching other things here could matter, but I don't really want to bench anything else this turn. We could get Mars'd after the KO, which would be tough. But if we bench things, it becomes a little bit of a liability, right? So we could just bench like the baby Pokemon. I guess it really wouldn't be like that big of a downside, but I don't even know if I want to do that. So I'm actually just going to flop down punch him here. If we get Mars or red carded or whatever, it happens. So we're just going to hit him. We're going to get KO'd. And yes, we do take the damage from the Rocky Helmet, but then we heal that damage back at the end of the turn. And Snorlax takes 2 coin flips to break out. So theoretically speaking, it's only like we have to miss 2 coin flips, 50% chances to not break out here, right? So not too bad. Let's see if we can do it. The first one's Tails. Okay. It might be one of those games for sure, which would be unfortunate. Definitely. So no Giant Cape, no PCL in hand. We're just going to see how this goes. If we double miss on the coin flips, then yeah, we probably just lose the game. We do get Mars to 2, so we knew that would happen, but again, it doesn't really matter. Like nothing in our hand was that relevant. Tyrogue and Research is interesting. Maybe we research into a Giant Cape. That could be good. Either way, we have to break out here. There's really no scenario where we can win this game. Okay, we break out, which is good. I was a little bit worried. So we go back to 80 after we KO, and then unless he has something, I don't know what, I think we're going to be in a good spot. So let's research here. Maybe we get Giant Cape, maybe not. No, we don't. It's all good. Nothing really to attach here, so I'm actually not going to attach to anything. I don't think it's really, I don't think it's worth benching anything, so we're just going to KO him again and hope we break out twice. This is the Snorlax matchup here. You gotta love it. But again, if we went with something like an Arceus, then we wouldn't have enough HP to live this, right? So in this specific matchup, I think Snorlax is actually pretty good because it allows us effectively here to go back up to 80 HP, and he just doesn't have an option to KO because he isn't able to go Silvally into Silvally, right? Because he just doesn't have enough turns. We flip Tails. This is a little bit scary, in fact, I will say. Oh man, if we lose the game off of not breaking out, then of sleep, then that's how it goes, right? There's really nothing else that we can do about it. So we just have to hope it happens. No giant cape, still no PCL. The one PCL in the deck sometimes comes, sometimes it doesn't. We are -7 card advantage. That's one thing you'll notice about this deck is that there's nothing really in the deck that thins it out. We're not even playing Pokeball, and we do break out. That's GG. So oftentimes your opponent's gonna have way more cards in the deck than you do, and that can be a little bit scary. But anyway, there you go. Is it likely? No, I mean, to be honest, like if we get double tails in a row, like that's just in general unlucky. That's what, like a 25% chance. So it's more likely than not that we break out of the coin flips. Also, us not having giant cape or having PCL is just generally unlucky. But yeah, that's kind of typically how that matchup goes. Snorlax is pretty uniquely good for that matchup, so we got a little bit lucky that game. But that's this deck, you know, it's fun. It's kind of relaxing to play. We just sort of do our thing, and you know, it goes our way sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, and that's totally fine. We just hope we go on some win streaks and we climb. You know, it's a simple life. It's a simple life playing Snorlax daycare, you know? In tournaments, we don't often see this deck see that much play, and I think a big reason for that is because it is, in general, just like a pretty heavy RNG-based deck list. But traditionally in tournaments, it's got about a 52 to 53% win rate. So oftentimes it does well, you know, and I find that to be very interesting. We're going to bench the Magby and we're going to pass. The unique thing here is we're probably playing Flareon or Charizard. Neither of those matchups are like that good for us. The Magby means it's probably Flareon. Yeah, it does seem to be Flareon. So we're going second. So that gives us like a unique advantage. We can retreat, go Tyrogue, attach Darkrai if we want to KO the Magby. And then he just can't really attack on our following turn other than just KOing with EV. So we have to be a little bit weary of how things work here because Flareon can KO us a bit easier than we can KO Flareon. So that's why Flareon has that advantage. But the red in hand is actually really interesting. So I'm going to do this real quick. I'm actually just going to go into Tyrogue and I'm going to attach here. We actually don't really need to go into Tyrogue, do we? Actually, yeah, we would rather just KO this turn and force him into EV because even if he KOs, it's totally fine. So I think this is the better play, is to just go into Tyrogue here and just hit him with Slappy Knuckles so we can just KO going second with Darkrai plus Tyrogue. Now, he can go into EV and bite us for the KO, but then we do get a Darkrai ping damage off on the Flareon or the incoming Flareon, which is going to be good with red potentially setting up for a KO, right? So unless he's got EV bag to heal, we're going to be in a pretty decent spot. So I say decent spot. We're going to be in an okay spot. We'll see how it goes here. He might just elect to retreat as well. So we got to also, you know, keep that in mind. It is very possible. The EV comes down, so that's not going to be a retreat play. He is just going to bite here. Totally fine for the bite. Now, we would rather have Arceus, I'm not going to lie, just because Arceus with red is going to hit for 150, but we don't have Arceus in hand, so we're going to have to roll with the Darkrai. Darkrai is not as potent of an attacker as Arceus is, so we have to keep that in mind. We do top deck another Pichu. That's not that relevant, but we do want to bench one just in case we get, like, repelled or whatever. So yeah, he's got 4 cards in hand. So if he has like EV bag and he has Flareon, then, you know, good for him, I guess, really is how that goes, you know? So anyway, we'll just Toasty Toss to the Darkrai. He can just evolve KO, but if he doesn't have EV bag, he's at 130. With red, we go to 120. So we can kind of lock him down here. We just have to see. No Arceus makes this a little bit more difficult. So we'll see. He's going to draw into the research. So let's see if he gets the Flareon down. If he does, he discards energy, right? So he actually Flareon's the bench, which is very interesting. And he's just going to attach, also evolve, into Genetic Apex Flareon. I like this. I actually like this play from him. So he's pretty fortunate. Yeah, actually, it also has EV bag. Okay, so that's an extremely fortunate draw for our opponent to get both Flareon, the Genetic Apex Flareon, and EV bag so that he can get out of range of Darkrai KOing. And he can set up a Flareon EX on the bench. Wow, that's actually one of the better things I've ever seen anybody draw, which is kind of crazy. And he discards an energy with the Flareon, so he can actually get a Combust off here. That is crazy. You know, good for him for drawing the very specific cards he needed here to win. That is actually pretty impressive. So now we are kind of just forced to utilize Darkrai here, but we do just lose to like a repel play. And unfortunately, we can't KO here. So that is definitely an important note. If he didn't have EV bag, we would have just KO'd this turn and we would have been chilling, right? So kind of crazy that he had Genetic Apex Flareon and Flareon EX and EV bag off the draw. That's definitely pretty fortunate for him, okay? So he can attack here, but he's probably going to double up on the Flareon and then combust to it. Now, the upside to this here for us, I think, is that Repel theoretically does give us a win condition if we draw into it, even though that's very unlikely. Oh, the Sylveon comes down. Okay, never mind. All right, our opponent's got it all. Our opponent's got everything. Nothing we can do here against the draws that our opponent just absolutely sniped. We're also -7 card advantage. Oh, and he's got, okay, so he draws into Repel. All right, our opponent had sort of the perfect lineup there of cards, so good for him. Genuinely just literally nothing we could do there. Not having Arceus and having Darkrai definitely limited our ability to do anything this matchup. If we had Arceus, we could have just KO'd everything a little bit more easily, but we whiffed on the Arceus and our opponent drew into the Infinity Stones. He went Thanos on us. So shout out to him. Listen, that goes like that sometimes. Flareon and our deck are very similar. I will say that if he just didn't have both Flareon, Genetic Apex, and Flareon EX and EV Bag, then that game would have gone very differently. So him drawing into the research and those very specific cards won him the game there. In fact, I would say that matchup for us most of the time is pretty favorable, but it all depends on luck, right? Darkrai is really not that potent of an attacker than Arceus is. We're limited to really only 100 damage, and that just doesn't feel very good, right? So Genetic Apex Flareon has 120. Conveniently, he EV bags up to 120 damage, or HP rather. Very fortunate for him to get that play, because even if that was Flareon EX, right, we would have been in a fine spot. We could have read it for 120 and then locked him down. So anyway, we're going second again here, so I am just going to lead Mantike, and I'm going to pass. And it looks like we're playing Flareon again going second, which is pretty fun. Okay, we do have Giant Cape this time. That can be relevant. We have Giovanni also can be relevant. So we just have to wait and see what we draw into. If we lose back-to-back Flareon games, then it is what it is, right? This matchup really just comes down to whoever draws the cards they need to. Here's Darkrai. Again, we saw Darkrai not being that useful, so we have to be a little bit cognizant of that, but he doesn't have a baby Pokemon, and we draw Snorlax. Interesting. Do we want to go with the Snorlax play? Giant Cape Snorlax does live. Unfortunately, we can't attack on turn 2 if we do that. So we have to keep that in mind. We can actually go Tyrogue, right? So Tyrogue is 40. We can actually just KO the active here with Tyrogue. Is that also the better play? I think we did that last time. I don't know if I love that play, but that allows us to set up Darkrai and take a KO, right? Because we're hitting for weakness and we can ping with Darkrai. So I actually am just going to do that. We did this last time, but now it's on an Eevee, and he doesn't have a baby Pokemon. So I actually do think that this is better. And yes, he can just KO with Eevee. I understand that, but we're actually going to Giant Cape the Tyrogue here. We're going to be a little bit spicy. We're going to Giant Cape the Tyrogue. Yeah, we'll just KO here, hitting for weakness. So that's just the advantage for Tyrogue. It is actually kind of good into EVs. But he went first, led Eevee, so that's pretty unfortunate for him. He doesn't have a Magby on the bench, so he's actually forced into this Eevee. Now, if he draws into a baby Pokemon, then that's a different story. Then we can just kind of go into Mantike and maybe start setting up a Snorlax. So we'll see what happens here. Either way, the Giant Cape was clutch so that he can't KO the Tyrogue. And let's see if he has any other Pokemon here. That's kind of genuinely what I'm curious about. He evolves it into Sylveon, so he's electing to draw some cards. This is not a bad play from him whatsoever, especially if he draws into another Eevee. Okay, so Sylveon into research. Okay, so now he's blitzing through his deck. He's opening up a lot of different options for him, and that's pretty good. Now, what we might want to do, truthfully, is just set up Snorlax. We might just want to retreat and then just play the long game and then double up into Snorlax here. The Eevee does come down. But I'm curious, he's probably going to stay in the active spot with Sylveon, and he gets Magby. Okay, so he gets everything he needs here on the following turn. So again, getting a little bit fortunate into the Sylveon, into research, into Magby, into second Eevee. So he's doing all of the things that he needs to do here, and he is just going to go ahead and set up in our face here. This also like creates sort of the scenario, right? Of like, what do we want to do here? Theoretically speaking, we can KO the Magby, so that is an option, but I don't really think that we want to do that. I think what we want to do, again, still no Arceus, which does kind of worry me, I'm not going to lie, just a little bit. So I am just going to go into the Snorlax because he hasn't taken a KO yet, and I am going to go into the Mantike. We can kind of expect the Flareon to come out next turn. He has a Fire Energy in the discard pile, but I am just going to start doubling up here into Snorlax because either way, we should get the Snorlax set up at some point. And even if he KOs the Mantike this turn, we go into Tyrogue, we attach, and then we attack, and then I think we're not in like a really bad spot. We have Giovanni in hand as well, so we're going to do our thing here. We're just going to do our thing, and we're going to hope it works. We do probably lose to a Repel or like Eevee Bags if he heals up enough. So let's see what he does here, what he elects to do. I'm actually kind of curious. I'll be curious to see. The third EV. So if he has double Flareon, this could be important. Also, Genetic Apex Flareon is something that we have to keep in mind of, right? Because we saw that last game and we kind of lost to it. So Flareon EX does come out here. I'm curious if he elects to come in and take the KO. I would be really curious to see if, in fact, he does do that. He doesn't. No, he goes for the Toasty Toss. That's fine. Definitely fine. It's all good. So now I think what we do here is we attach Darkrai. Or does it even matter if we attach Darkrai, I wonder? It's curious, isn't it? Does it really matter? I think what we do is double up on Snorlax so that we have Darkrai and Snorlax available to take the KO here. Because he can't really do anything unless he has Genetic Apex Flareon. And if he does, he does. But Snorlax is going to come in and then take the KO. So I'm actually just going to double up on Snorlax this turn. And then that way it'll open up the possibility to hit for 150 plus next turn by attaching to Darkrai and then attacking with Snorlax. And I think we're in a fine spot. Now, he might be setting up or trying to get us to come into the active spot first this turn. But we don't have to bring up Snorlax to do that. We can still KO the active here with Tyrogue and Darkrai, which will force him into like an alternate attacking option, right? But theoretically speaking, no Giant Cape. So if he has Red and he has EV Bag, he can KO the Snorlax. So that is important. He does go into the EV and attaches here. Is this going to be a Flareon EX? This is Genetic Apex Flareon, but he can't attack with it. So that's sort of the unique thing here, right? He can't actually attack this turn, but he definitely wants me to go into Snorlax. He definitely wants me to go into Snorlax here, which probably means that if we do, we'll get KO'd because he has EV Bag and Red in hand. That is probably pretty likely. So what do we want to do here? We can stall for a turn and potentially draw into, our Giant Cape. We don't have any hand disruption. So effectively speaking, if we go into Snorlax here, it's pretty likely that we get KO'd. We do have a research and we have a Giant Cape left in the deck. Again, these Genetic Apex Flareons just keep coming out. They're like really, really good specifically in this matchup, and this game went a little bit too long. We might have made a misplay at some point or another here. But what do we want to do is the question. Honestly, I don't really think it matters. I'm just going to go into Tyrogue. And I'm actually just going to pop a Giovanni and I'm going to hit him. We're going to try to whittle him down here. We're going to try to whittle him down a little bit. Not that this really matters that much, but this is what we're going to do. And we're just going to stall until we draw into the card that we need to, being Giant Cape or Repel. Repel also will work here if we can get it going. So let's see. All right, he takes the KO. All good. We knew that would happen. We knew he would take the KO. We just have to draw into our cards at this point, which is a bit unfortunate, but there's really nothing else we can do, unfortunately. Another Darkrai. That's not what we want, unfortunately. Okay. Now, I wonder here, we can maybe force an EV Bag out. He hasn't actually played an EV Bag, so we can force one EV Bag out, which would be pretty funny. So let's just Giovanni again. We're whittling him down with the Tyrogues. So now he's forced EV Bag or else we KO with the Darkrai ping, which is kind of funny. But unfortunately, we don't play any hand disruption. So if he does have EV Bag, then he could just have another one, right? And we're kind of stalling for a while here. So, it's definitely going to be a little bit unfortunate depending on what happens, right? So no Giant... Oh, no, I forgot. We Giant Caped the Tyrogue early in the game. That's my bad. That is my bad. Okay, so I guess we're reliant kind of on Repel here. He's gonna combust and now EV Bag go up to full. This is smart on his part. So unless the last three cards of his deck are one of his EV Bags or red, I just don't know if we can win here. The Genetic Apex Flareon put us in a really, really tough spot, which is definitely unfortunate. I forgot we already used Giant Cape. Man, if that Genetic Apex Flareon didn't come out that turn, we would have been totally fine. He also can just repel us now, so that is also a win condition. Forgot to mention that. Anyway. All good. It is what it is. We're doing our thing here. We definitely get KO next turn. Unfortunately, I forgot we did already use the Tyrogue. The Giant Cape on the Tyrogue early on. It was just kind of a bank on whether or not he got Genetic Apex Flareon out or not. There really wasn't any way around that. So it's tough. It's a tough world. I think we lost to GA Flareon both times, honestly. I just don't think there's any real way around that. Because again, we didn't have Arceus, so Snorlax was our only option here. So now he needs red and EV bag, but it's very likely unless he just somehow whiffs on EV bag. We did force him to use one of them, but he's got 3 cards in the deck. So if he doesn't have an EV bag or one of the last EV bags or red, which is very unlikely, right? Oh, he's got repel anyway. Yeah, we forgot that was also a win condition. Yeah, I don't know what we can do there. I mean, I guess we could have just sort of decided to attack the turn prior, or that original turn, but I feel like he would have had it that turn anyway, you know what I mean? Because he definitely had enough cards in the deck. I think it's just tough. Like, if he doesn't get Genetic Apex Flareon both of those games, I think this was a different player. But if they don't get Genetic Apex Flareon out that specific turn, then that's really tough. Like, he managed to go Sylveon Research and then get double EVs down and then draw into Flareon EX and Genetic Apex Flareon EX. So, Genetic Apex Flareon without Arceus is really tough because we just don't have a way to KO. Other than, that specific turn KOing with Snorlax. So maybe it would have been better to do that. Probably was a misplay at some point, perhaps a miscalculation. But I think in general, our Flareon opponents are just kind of getting a little bit lucky in this video. It's all good. You guys can let me know if we did something we shouldn't have done there. But I actually did forget that we had Giant Cape. So that obviously was... that was obviously not a good play. I was waiting to draw into Giant Cape because I was like, then he can't KO. But no, I forgot. I forgot he did. I forgot we already used it. It's all good. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? You guys will comment down below. I know you guys love commenting about the gameplay. It is what it is. We're going second again. We're going to lead Pichu here. Probably against Suicune, which is fine. What are the odds that we play Flareon twice? He gets Genetic Apex Flareon out twice, and Flareon EX out both games, and we whiff Arceus both games. I just don't know the likelihood of that happening. I don't know. Maybe I guess it can happen. But it seems pretty unfortunate. I'm not going to lie. I forgot they play Repel in the deck too. There was a lot of things we probably didn't create incorrectly that game. But it's all good. We ride out. You know what I mean? You guys learn from my mistakes as well. You know what I mean? I'm not the guy that just uploads only the perfect game videos. You know what I mean? It's better to get the real experience, I believe. He goes first, leading Giratina, which is an interesting play here because it's tough for us to KO the Giratina. We have double Tyrogue in hand, so we're just going to research, hopefully draw into something to attach here, which is Darkrai, which I guess is fine. That's better than nothing. So now we are forced to bench a baby Pokemon, so I'm going to bench probably the Magby. And we have Giovanni, so I mean, this isn't the end of the world. We do get double pings off on Giratina, and we have Giovanni in hand, so we can KO. But then from there's not really a great way to KO after that, right? With Darkrai. So that's really the downside to not having Arceus or Snorlax and just having Darkrai, is that in most matchups, it's actually not very good to take KOs. It's good as an additional option to help us hit above, the certain number with Snorlax or Arceus, but as an attacker himself, not as useful in the deck for sure. But if he doesn't irritate this turn, meaning he'd have to attach to Giratina, then he gets KO'd, right? Because we attach here, he goes to 110, and then we have Giovanni, which is pretty good. Actually, we don't need Giovanni, right? We hit for 120 with weakness. Actually, no, we do, yeah, because he's at 130. So he benches the Froakie here. He's got plenty of cards. He did go double research. So, shout out to our opponents getting lucky today. Not much we can really do here. I really do doubt that he attaches to Giratina and Iridas here. Well, he can't because he researched. Maybe he has Cape. Cape would be an interesting scenario, yeah. He's got a split. We can actually get KO'd next turn pretty easily because he went second. So the Snorlax is kind of funny. But I think we just KO here, and then from there, what does he do? I guess in order to KO us, he would need a couple of different things, and we'll get a free attack off. So I still think we go for the KO here. Coincidentally, it might have been worse that we benched the Magby, but I don't really expect that to matter too much. Maybe it will, but I kind of think we're in a fine spot here. So let's just go ahead. We are going to use the Giovanni to take the KO, which means, again, we don't really have any way to KO the Suicune on the following turn. But I think it's fine, unless he's got Rare Candy Greninja and a basic Pokemon. He can't really whittle us down much. That would be unfortunate if he did go Rare Candy Greninja basic, because then he could hit for 120. He could hit for 120, and then we don't have a way to heal up unless we draw into Giant Cape, and then he could just KO Darkrai on the subsequent turn. So we would actually have to draw into an Arceus or something to KO on the following turn, or another Darkrai potentially, but it's pretty unlikely because he could just Irida. So we'll see what goes on here. He does only have 9 cards in deck, so it's very likely he probably gets Greninja out and a basic in this hand. Out of all of the things possible to happen here, that's probably pretty likely, I would say. If we had Arceus, none of this would be really an issue because we could just sort of like KO and then KO, but like it's just not the case. We don't have Arceus, so he Marses us to 1. That is unfortunate for sure. So let's see what we draw into. Repel is kind of crazy, I'm not gonna lie. Is he just gonna attach and attack? Be crazy if he did. He does, okay. So that actually works out, I think, in our favor a little bit. Kind of because of Repel, because like, unless he has Leaf or whatever, we're not actually in that bad of a spot. I am going to, well, I guess if he does have Leaf, we're kind of also in a bad spot. So I still think Repelling here is probably the better play. So I'm just going to play the Repel. He's going to be forced to go into the Suicune. So if he doesn't have Leaf, then, you know, he doesn't have Leaf, right? So the Mars to 1, though, actually is a little bit tough. We do have Tyrogue. But based around all of the other cards in our hand, it's not looking very good. So, yeah, well, let's just sort of ride this out and see where this goes. We're not going to bench anything, but yeah, unfortunately, if he retreats out, then we just get KO'd next turn and we have nowhere to go from here because we got Marsed and we're negative, what is this, 7 card advantage? Let's see what goes on. Let's see what goes on in this video. Listen, if we just lose 3 games in a row, I'm still uploading regardless. He has Misty. Misty's crazy. Okay, all right. He has Misty and flips heads, which is literally all he needs. That's ridiculous. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Why does he have Misty? What? Why does he have Misty? Why did he got Misty and flip heads just then? What is going on? Okay, listen. I don't think we were meant to win in this video. I think, you know, when we record on YouTube, it's pretty crazy how bad the luck gets sometimes. But yes, effectively that is the game. we literally can't win now, which is crazy, bro. Why does he play Misty? And why did he flip heads just then? Who knows? We're leaving it in the video though. Why not? We're gonna get absolutely high roll sacked against double Flareon and then also into Suicune. LOL. We love to see it. Shout out to the random Misty from Suicune that wins him the game there. I have no other words. We're leaving it at the video. I think that's pretty funny, honestly. Listen, with the highs or the lows, we're showcasing the deck for what it really is, okay? We're showcasing the deck for what it really is, which is, you know, our opponent's just getting super lucky and us never drawing into Arceus, I guess is what the deck is. Hey, we're having a good time regardless. I still recommend the deck. This, again, you know, when we record videos, like, it's tough because I don't have, like, I can't sit here and play games for like 6 hours and then just show you all of the wins. Like, I have to sit down and then show you just like the real examples of what happens when you play the deck. And you just have to live with it, right? Whether we lose all 5 games or we win all 5 games or anywhere in between. That's just the reality of the deck. It looks like we are playing Suicune again. We lead with 3 baby Pokemon, coincidentally, and no Arceus, no Darkrai, or Snorlax, or Research. So, might be one of those. It might be one of those games, everybody. He does lead Froakie going first. So, like, theoretically speaking, oh, and also a Research. Theoretically speaking, you know, there is still a possibility. I mean, we have, what is that, 9 cards in our deck that we would like to draw into out of 15. You know, or what is that? No, I guess it's 7 cards out of our deck being 15. Let's see. Can we draw into anything is the question. He does Giant Cape. He's got Inflatable Boat and Giant Cape double Froakie. So our opponent is actually kind of breaking here, which is funny. But do we also brick? We do. Yeah, we're totally, absolutely breaking here, which is incredible. Which is phenomenal. Okay, sure. Let's go. I love it. Okay, so, I mean, this does happen sometimes, right? Even though we're playing double Research, Snorlax, double Arceus, double Darkrai in the deck, there's no guarantee, I suppose. And he goes turn 2 Greninja. Of course he does. Yeah, why wouldn't he? There's no guarantee that this doesn't happen, right? It certainly can happen sometimes. So, literally, there's nothing we can do. Our opponent just goes naturally has turn 2 Rare Candy Greninja. And we just whiff on Arceus. He actually evolves the active, which is probably smart. Does he attach the active? He's got to, right? He's got to. He's got to attach the active. Oh, and he's also got Giratina. Okay. All right. Can we draw any of the cards in our deck that we need? We need anything. Literally, I'll take whatever at this point. I'll take Darkrai. I'll take Arceus. I'll take Snorlax. I'll take Research. I'll take whatever, please. It's a Darkrai. Would you look at that? Okay. That is A-okay. It's better than nothing, coincidentally. So the Giant Cape thing here is interesting, right? Like, what do we want to What do we want a Giant Cape? He is going to be able to like double stall with Greninja, which is like a little bit concerning. So if we retreat into Mantike, he can just KO it. And I would rather probably hold the Cape, I think. And then just force him maybe to ping the Mantike to KO this turn. I feel like I would rather him do that. But honestly, we probably end up losing to this Giratina. Unless he just doesn't get a second Greninja out, potentially. But yeah, like we can KO this turn, but we can't really live the Giratina damage. Oh, he also just top decks into Suicune, which is incredible. So good for him. Oh, and Irida? What is going on? Why are my opponents so incredibly lucky? I don't understand. He does actually go for the ping on the Mantike, which is probably correct. Yeah, what are the odds here that he has Irida? He just top decks Giratina into Irida into Suicune? Like, what is going on here? What are the odds that this entire board state happens in his first 10 cards? I have no idea. But listen, I'm okay with it. You know, what do you want from me? What do you genuinely? He retreats, which is fascinating, but probably the correct play because now he just has time to Broken Space Bellow. So definitely not the incorrect play. He's at full HP. So like literally we're on turn 3 and we haven't done anything. And we're just going to get KO'd by the Giratina. Coincidentally, like we literally do just get KO'd by the Giratina. Double Magby off the research is awesome. I love to see that. We can't KO, but what we can do is, oh yeah, because we researched this turn. Probably would have been better to play red and then force out the KO with Irida on the following turn, but what are you going to do? He will do a lot of damage to me this turn. So I don't even know if I want, well, I guess we have to attack. I don't think we ever win this. Well, if he attaches and he attacks, then he doesn't bellow, right? So I guess that's important. I guess we just cape now. Probably. We just cape now, and then we'll Dark Prism him. All right, man, the opponents are incredibly lucky. You know, if we go, what is it, like 1 and 4, 1 and 3, 1 and 4 in this video, then I really don't even care that much. But yeah, pretty funny, huh? Pretty incredible. Is this what you guys came to see? Do you guys come to see me lose in the videos? This is always a good time, right? We're going to top deck Pokemon Center Lady. It's all good. I wonder if he attacks here. He Giant Capes the active. And Irida? What does that do? I guess he's just playing him to play him. Because he's just going to bellow and then we get KO'd on the following turn. So it's all good. So what we need here effectively is Pokemon Center Lady or we lose. I guess he's trying to force me to not be able to KO with Tyrogue, which is probably correct. But yeah, no, unfortunately, we lose the game here regardless because he just KOs with Giratina because he ended up getting Giratina out and Greninja out and Suicune out and double Giant Cape out. I don't know what's going on, but our opponents, they just have it all. They have every card they ever need, I guess. That's how it goes. We're just gonna end the video like this, honestly. I don't even care. I really don't. I'm here to showcase the deck, okay? Listen, you're gonna lose sometimes. Okay, I've won 7 games in a row, and what was this? We lost 3 games in a row. That's how Pokemon Pocket Ranked works. Okay, that's how it works. I will say though, I think we've gone the last 3 games like without Arceus, and it's really impacted our ability to win games. Just because Darkrai just can't take KOs like a lot of time. It just doesn't do enough damage, which feels bad. But anyway, there we go. Do we want to play one more game? I guess theoretically, maybe we can do one more. It probably will result in the same thing, but maybe we don't end on a loss. Listen, we got some time left. You know, we've gotten very unlucky the last few games, so maybe we get lucky one game here. This is what happens, though. This is what happens when we record for YouTube. It's at least it's genuine. At least you guys see the reality of what it's like, which is me never getting lucky enough, and our opponents always getting more lucky. We'll play one more game, okay? Whether we win or lose, I don't care. We're uploading the video either way. I do still recommend the deck, though. Aside from like the few games that we've played in this video, I do think that if you just play this deck and you play enough games, like you actually just end up winning at least 50% of your games, if not a little bit more, and you're going to go on win streaks inevitably, right? So anyway, let's see here. We lead Tyrogue and Snorlax, but we are going second, so I'm not going to bench the Snorlax in case we get repelled. We just want to draw into something off the research or another. So let's see. Giratina Darkrai. Snorlax is good into Giratina Darkrai, but I think we would rather go Oh, never mind. We're playing the mirror. It's the mirror matchup. Sensei Cloud. Let's go. Shout out to the mirror matchup. Let's see if our opponent just gets more lucky than us. That's the trend today, is our opponents just being more lucky. So maybe that's how the game goes. Maybe that's just what happens. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the progression of our deck, is just sort of us today. It's just getting unlucky. He actually does have Arceus and Darkrai and Magby and Giant Cape. So let's go. All right. I think immediately our opponent's kind of ahead of us in terms of the luck factor here. Now he can attack on the following turn. Like next turn he can attack us. So that is valuable info, but I don't think I really want Snorlax. I'm not going to lie. We do have red in hand though. So, you know, theoretically speaking, wow. Okay. I mean, it's not that bad, is it? Is this that bad? Maybe it's not great. I think I'm going to go here and then we go into Pichu, but he can attack next turn. So what I am going to do here is go into Pichu and I'm going to actually attach to Darkrai. Maybe we shouldn't have benched the Snorlax, but we're going to do it anyway. And I'm going to Crackly Toss to, I think, Snorlax. We're going to Crackly Toss to the old Snorlax. My inexperience with the deck may show pretty promptly in this video, I'm not going to lie. He does get the other Pichu down, so that is interesting. So we have red, but we don't have Arceus, so that's like the thing, right? Is like, we don't really have a real way to do much here. Okay. So now I think we just double up on the Snorlax, but what do I want a Giant Cape though is the question. And if I want a Giant Cape, I'm just gonna research here. We know he probably doesn't play Disruption. And PCL is kind of crazy. And a second Giovanni. So I'm just gonna Crackly Toss, I think, directly to the Snorlax. If he KOs, then he KOs. It is what it is, right? And if he goes into Arceus, like, I don't even think we really care that much, right? Because if he goes into Arceus, we can just hit it with Tyrogue. And then attach to like Snorlax, and then I think we just win, I think. Maybe not, but I think Snorlax might be able to like take away the W here. It's crazy that he also had Giant Cape, you know what I mean? But we do too, so I guess it's not like that crazy. He does play one copy of Repel, so we have to keep that in mind. We could just like lose. Yeah, he is going to play the Repel. I love that. Okay. All right. This is an interesting dilemma now. The Repel was super clutch for him now that I realize. But it's really not that big of a deal. We might just have to Giant Cape or PCL the Pichu, because he already used his Repel, and we don't want the Pichu to go down to the Darkrai ping this turn, right? So I think we kind of have to do it like this. Actually, we could just bench the Mantike, but then, yeah, he only plays one Repel, right? So we'll do it like this. He does play one PCL, so now, well, we're going to Crackly Toss this turn, right? So it doesn't really matter. I guess we'll just attach to the Darkrai. This is interesting. Yeah, we'll attach to the Darkrai. I just don't think he could be playing like a Cyrus or whatever. I just don't know if this deck normally plays like a copy of Cyrus. I feel like it wouldn't. But theoretically, we would lose to it if he was playing Cyrus. You know what I mean? Or even like a second Repel or whatnot. The question here is like, what do I want a Giant Cape? You know what I mean? And honestly, I don't know if it really matters once we get rid of the Arceus. It could matter, right? Because he could just like maybe retreat or whatever. So I'm going to hold that. And I'm actually just going to Splashy Toss this turn onto Snorlax. And we're going to try to win this game just with Snorlax alone. Because we can KO next turn. And then I think as long as he can't like, doesn't have Cyrus or Repel or whatever, then Snorlax will just sweep. So I think what he's forced to do here is just basically, unless he has like another Repel or Cyrus, is to just retreat. And if he does, then we can cape the Snorlax KO and then just like double KO like on the subsequent turns. So he's going to attach to the Darkrai. I think he just has to KO us this turn. No, okay, so he is going to retreat. He retreats into the Magby with 10 HP though, which is interesting for sure. Definitely an interesting play. But I think that's the correct play. The Repel is nuts. We actually just win the game this turn. So you love to see it. Okay. All right. Well, at least we win the mirror matchup, which is good, I think. We got lucky one game, you know? I mean, what is it? It really just comes down to like, you know, not our opponents not having exactly every card they need the entire game. you know? He's like, they're repelled. We got counter repelled. It is a little bit crazy, isn't it? All right, there it is. Look at least we got the win in the mirror matchup for the video, right? Fun games, fun times. We definitely got unlucky, I would say, in those 3 games. We just didn't have Arceus or Snorlax, and our opponent had every card they needed to. That's going to happen sometimes. I do think Flareon is still a good deck. I think Suicune is still a good deck list. But the cool thing with this deck list is that you kind of don't really care that much what you go up against, right? You just kind of care about drawing into specific cards. It's a very relaxing deck. It's a fun deck, and I think that you're probably, if you play the deck and you don't misplay, which... you know, I definitely misplay sometimes, but if you play the deck perfectly, you're probably going to fall. All of the data shows around 50 to 53% win rate. And again, that's actually really good numbers for ranked. So you can kind of just play this deck over and over and over and over again, and then you'll hit some win streaks and then you'll climb. So I actually think it's one of the easiest decks for climbing in Master Ball. This would actually be one of my biggest, you know, because even things like Suicune, Giratina Darkrai, Flareon, like those are decks that are a little bit less easy to play in that sense. You know what I mean? So I actually do kind of just prefer something like this if I'm kind of casually climbing. And I think for a lot of players, it's actually going to be a pretty good choice. So here you go. This is, I also wanted to make a video on this deck because we've talked about it a couple times and we've never actually really showcased it on the channel. So there you go, guys. Here's Snorlax. There's the daycare deck. Really, really fun. I actually think this has a lot of potential, even in a metagame where Greninja is not banned, but Greninja is banned for our tournament this weekend. Link to register down in the description below. Definitely go and register. And it's going to be a lot of fun this weekend. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you guys later. Apologies for us getting super unlucky in this video, but you know, we show the reality of what it's like to play Pokemon Pocket. Let's get out of here. Peace out. Have a good one. We'll see you guys later. And yeah, bye.